A day after General Manager John Lynch speaks at the owners' meetings, we've got some new statements from head coach Kyle Shanahan and ownership. Jed York checking in as well about the current and future 49ers, especially the quarterback situation, and maybe some stock up for young Trey Lance. All that coming up on today's Winky Wednesday.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Eric_Crocker. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. It is Wednesday. I know y'all missed Nick Winkler, our weekly guest last week. So let's get this Winky Wednesday going and bring Nick back on to the program.
Nicholas Winkler, come on down.
All right.
Yeah. How's it going, man? How'd you enjoy your little vacay in Oregon? I know you were put to work in Oregon.
Yeah.
Help the family move. I saw some photos. It's beautiful out there.
Yeah, if that's a vacation, I need another vacation from that because it was nonstop work. And I'm on the younger side of the people that were helping too. So it's like, hey Nick, grab this. Hey Nick, grab that. Oh, this is the heavy Nick. It's like, all right, guys, I got this.
Well, I'm glad you didn't come back injured, for one.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate it. Well, the back isn't feeling great. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
All right.
Oregon. So were you in Portland or?
No, like right across the border there from California, a little place called Brookings. My parents just moved up there, a little harbor town. It's cool. It's a really nice little spot. You know, if you're into, I don't really fish or anything like that, but it's like really known for its fishing, and there's a river that goes up, and yeah, it's beautiful.
My cousin went to
Eric,
junior college up there. Weed, California, or Weed?
Yeah, Weed's way up there in Northern California. You got Humboldt up there, pretty far up. Croc, you played for the Portland Arena team,
Portland
right?
Thunder, yeah.
Thunder, yeah, the Thunder.
I built that house, man. The Motor Center. That's the house that Crocky built. I was the number 1 overall pick, and I had 11 interceptions that year.
Dang,
nice. Yeah, where is the trip?
So what?
Did you take home some hardware from that?
It's
a player of the year stuff.
Defensive player of the year on my team. I don't know if you can see it.
Eric Crocker,
defensive player of the year.
The house that Croc built. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, Wink. I don't know if you have any thoughts from what we had heard earlier on this week from John Lynch, but now we can add to it with Kyle Shanahan and ownership, Jed York checking in about everything that's going on. I want to start with Jed York, actually, because it's an overarching point that Jed York made about the guys that are in charge, Kyle and John. And basically, Jed said, quote, "We always spend to the salary cap, and if this is where we want to put our resources, quarterback is not a bad place to put more resources than somewhere else." And basically, he said Kyle and John have full autonomy. He trusts them. He put the power in them. They are winning, so he's staying out of it and letting them do as they need to do, as they see fit with the roster. Wink, do you think this is all setting up for another year with Jimmy Garoppolo all year long?
I hope not. Don't get me wrong. You know me, I've been a Jimmy guy for a long time, but it's ready to move on. You've spent all this capital investing in Trey Lance, and he's the future, and you want to get that rookie contract and use it as much as you can and build around it. And when you got, $25 million on the books there with Jimmy coming up this year, whatever it may be, like that's tough. The York stuff kind of makes me feel like he's putting it all on them. Like, guys, it's time to succeed. Like if they have another down year like they did, in 2020, that it might be like, oh, you guys did this all right. I said you guys did everything. So when you win, you get all the praise. But when you lose, like, that's not on me. That's on you guys. We've been doing this for how many years now? Like, we don't have any rings to show for it, right?
That reminds me of when John Lynch was like, yeah, Kyle is his quarterback wherever he picks.
Kyle's
like, who am I to tell him who to pick? That's his thing. I have nothing to do with it.
Yep.
It's funny, yeah, because now that you mention it, you could see like a path. There's definitely two potential paths. Not even talking about with if Jimmy Garoppolo's on the roster or what, but just how well things go with Trey Lance. It's really important that he hits, because then if that doesn't go well, then you can see how Jed York maybe starts to step in. There's comments from John Lynch yesterday, because there was the story about him having a dinner or a lunch or whatever it was, or a meeting about going back to the broadcast booth, and he said no, he's got unfinished business here. So that unfinished business might get finished a lot quicker if he's not winning at all, but he wants to win a title, I'm sure. Like, is he piecing out if they win a title? Is he going to get fired? If Trey Lance is not good, does everyone get fired? If if they have a losing season? So there's a lot of different ways this can go, and I don't think it's going to go the disaster route. I know Croc's a little bit worried about the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff. He used the word disaster yesterday, not me, but
disaster in the sense of, and again, I have to make it very clear, I don't dislike Jimmy Garoppolo, but once you draft Trey Lance, to me, everything is about Trey Lance.
Yep.
So when I say like disaster, it's you keep Jimmy Garoppolo around, like that is not making everything about Trey Lance and getting him, up to speed and getting him comfortable and giving him confidence that he's the guy. So that's what that meant. Like, now, if I look at it from just a non-objective standpoint, not caring what happens or not caring about the capital that you spent for Trey Lance, then I don't care. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's won a lot of games. So, whatever. To me, the outrage is more so on, like, you're drafting this young guy. I just watched Justin Herbert, right? It was a game. It was the Chargers against the Browns. And I'm looking at Justin Herbert. It was a high-scoring game. Like, it was terrific. Really, both sides played well, even Baker Mayfield, even though everybody gives him a hard time. But one thing I realized watching that, I did not come away watching that thinking that Justin Herbert was more talented than Trey Lance. I watched that and said, Trey Lance is every bit as talented. He's just not as comfortable. Like, he's not as calm, like, as what I'm seeing. Like, there wasn't one throw that I saw that Trey Lance couldn't make. There wasn't like just these like special decisions. It was just, I'm very comfortable and I'm in command of what's going on, and I have the ability to do all these things. I think Trey Lance has that. Now, again, I don't want to say he's going to be Herbert. He had a special rookie year. He's awesome last year as well. But how do you get him to be as close to that as possible, as soon as possible? And to me, it's him playing. It's him getting more comfortable with what he's seeing from and knowing what to expect from the offense as well as the defense. And the sooner you get him, you got to throw him into the fire. The sooner he gets caught up to speed with that. Again, Justin Herbert's a guy who played 4 years at Oregon. That's a lot of reps playing at Oregon, throwing the ball. Trey Lance doesn't have that, but you got to catch him up to speed. He has all the talent to do it. And keeping Jimmy Garoppolo around and casting that shadow over him of, man, every time if I make a bad pass, like, they're going to pull me, they're going to put this guy in. Man, I know how all these guys feel about him behind the scenes. I know how, Deebo Samuel feels. I know how all these guys, that it just makes you a little bit more tense. And I don't want that for Trey Lance if he is the guy that you want him to be.
When they want that, right? They want him to be the guy. And you said it. You don't want to have Jimmy Garoppolo looming all the time, because you as a rookie, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. In order for the game to slow down, you need to play the game, and you need to play it with some confidence. You need to play it with the belief that when you mess up, when you throw a pick, when you throw 2 picks, when you throw 3 picks, that it's still your job, that you're still going to come back and they're still going to have the confidence in you and believe in you, right?
Jimmy Garoppolo threw 3 picks week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings and did not have to look over his shoulder.
Yeah, right. You're exactly right. And if you are investing this much into him, there comes a point where you have to decide, right? Like, okay, if we cut Jimmy, we're going to get nothing for him. But is keeping him around actually going to hurt this huge investment that you made in the guy who's probably going to be the face of your franchise, the guy you want to be the face of it, the guy that's going to be your leader for the next 10 years, hopefully. So that's a tough thing you got to weigh. Is the money worth it? I like what Kyle said today too about we don't cut guys that are good at a position when you need lots of quarterbacks and this is a good guy. Why would we cut him? And that makes sense too. So it's like, it's a really tough position that the 49ers have found themselves in here. And I do think it all comes back to that shoulder surgery, man.
Yeah, it's tough. We're going to get more into that and diving into Kyle Shanahan's comments, but something you just said there, Croc, it was letting it rip. And that's what they were talking about with Lance in practice his rookie year too. And they were trying to get him to just let some things rip. And you can see that comfort level for some other quarterbacks. He's got to develop that, and he's got to have more reps and have a chance to do that. So real quick point on Trey Lance that I want to bring up. This is from Timo Risk. He is at PFF Moo on Twitter. Works for Pro Football Focus. And I've been talking a lot about this, and I agree with you guys about Trey Lance. It's all about Trey Lance. Once they made the move up, you've got to make him good. As good. You do whatever you can to make Trey Lance as good as possible, basically. And he brings up an interesting point, and sometimes it takes me 30 minutes of a podcast to succinctly put it this way, but I just want to read what he said because it matches what I think about with Trey Lance and how this whole Garoppolo situation is and the value game that's happening. He said, basically, if the 49ers pay Garoppolo this year and Trey Lance doesn't start this year, he basically needs to develop into elite quarterback long-term to make the expensive move for him from the last year worthwhile. The costs of an elite quarterback hardly matter. So if you get an elite quarterback, it almost doesn't matter how you got there or what you paid to do it, is what he's saying. But if Lance, which is the most likely outcome, is only good, not elite, the combination of reduced playing time under his rookie contract, the immense costs to go up and select him, plus the cost of Garoppolo being on the roster at a high contract level, mitigate everything that makes QB picks good and getting all the value out of even a good quarterback under his rookie contract. So I think that was well put, and he succinctly put some things that we've been trying to say that it takes us sometimes a while to say.
We've been saying that from the jump, from the moment the guy, the capologist guy came on and said, you can release Jimmy Garoppolo today and you'll be able to roll that money over to next year, and essentially taking that money from 2021 and 2022, $52 million cap space, and being able to put that into your quarterback and get him ready to go. Like, we said that. But I get it, Kyle. And again, for him, it's different. One winning season in 4 years heading into 2021 season. So there's a different level of pressure for him to win. I understand why he could not do it, but still, it's always been about Trey Lance once you made that trade.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk more Trey Lance because Kyle Shanahan talked a lot about Trey Lance in his press conference today at the owners' meetings in Palm Beach, Florida. But first, I want to tell the folks out there about Built Bar. Yes. High in calorie, low in calorie, high in protein, right? That's the combination that we're looking for. Low sugar, low calories, high protein. You put that in your diet. Built Bar makes things simple for you. Throw out all the junk, throw out all the candy bars in your pantry, in your car, in your desk at work, and fill those sneaky little spots because you know you're going to grab it with Built Bars and feel good about it because Built Bars taste amazing. Croc says it best when he says they make them taste good first, then they worry about making them healthy. And it's unbelievable how they can make some of these flavors and new flavors all the time, by the way, at Built.com. Only 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar and 4 grams of net carbs with 17 grams of protein. Good for you. Helps keep you satisfied with all that protein. And all covered in 100% real chocolate. It is some magic the way they're able to do the Built Bar Puffs Go, which is the first ever protein infused marshmallow, all the classic flavors that we talk about all the time here on the show. Mint brownie, which Croc was converted into that flavor when I shared him that. I don't know why they send me the Built Bars and not Croc. Croc needs to send somebody at Built Bar a letter so they'll send those boxes his way too. And if you're not sure what flavor of Built Bar you want, you can get a mixed box as well. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thanks, everybody, for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every day. Make sure you're following Locked On NFL, Locked On Experts, covering the biggest stories around the NFL every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, guys. It's becoming more and more clear, I think, and especially today, hearing Kyle Shanahan talk. Trey Lance is the plan. Clearly, Trey Lance is the plan this year. And there's a little Jimmy Garoppolo hiccup. But let's go to the man. Let's go to Kyle Shanahan talking about what's going on with his young quarterback and what the plan is this offseason for Trey Lance.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're not hindering his development, and I think that's what we work at all the time. I mean, I understand the question and the perception how it'd be, but nothing's going on with his development. Trey's working his tail off. He knows how I feel about him. He knows what our expectations are for him, and I think he's got a lot of respect for Jimmy. But I think the situation's clear. I mean, we were trying to make a move to have some draft picks and get it back, and I think we were pretty close to it. And then Jimmy ended up getting the surgery, which changes things. And I think Trey will understand all that. I haven't had to talk to him about it, but I think it makes sense to all these guys. And Trey's not an insecure guy. I think this situation makes sense, so there's nothing sneaky going on about it. And he's confident. He's going to come in and focus on playing football, focus on beating whoever out he has to, whether it's Trey, whether it's Nate. He's going to come in and be the best he can be. Yeah, you got to make sure.
All right, that is Kyle Shanahan talking to reporters at Palm Beach at the owners' meetings. Said a few things there. They're trying to clear the path for Trey Lance, and Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulder got in the way of that, right? And Croc, you were talking about Mayoko's podcast where he went into a little bit more detail on some of those things.
It basically what was said, and I don't know why this clip isn't floating around where we can't get like the full audio of what John Lynch was saying, but essentially it was they had people really interested in Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was their priority. Trade Jimmy Garoppolo. And he was at the combine, and everyone knew, if he gets traded, it's going to be at the combine. Well, those conversations were happening. They were getting far in those conversations. And then, boom, the shoulder, the surgery happened. And that was kind of a bombshell on everyone, including John Lynch and the teams that were interested, because they pivoted and went in a different direction. And John Lynch said once that came out that Jimmy had to get the surgery, all the conversation about the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo really just came to a stop. And it was interesting hearing it because obviously you think those things and we know the shoulder has something to do with it, but to hear John Lynch talk to Mayoko about that, it kind of cemented what a lot of people were thinking.
And the fact that, and Kyle Shanahan just said it, we're trying to get some draft picks for Jimmy to clear it for Trey. Like the Trey's ready. And there was another quote from Kyle, and he said basically that's why we looked into trading Jimmy, because we obviously believe Trey can be the starter and we're ready to do that. Trey's ready. So throw the Trey's not ready stuff out the door. The 49ers are ready to do that. The problem is now they still value Jimmy Garoppolo more than cutting him for salary relief, at least while he's still injured. Maybe that'll change if he's able to pass a physical. Wink, in your opinion, is that the right move to bring Jimmy Garoppolo along? Or do you think that cutting Jimmy Garoppolo is more valuable than holding on to him and trying to get a draft pick for him? And look, iron sharpens iron. What about a competition? Make Trey win it. Make Trey beat Jimmy out.
But then if he wins, then you got a $25 million backup quarterback, right? I mean,
you can still cut Jimmy. Like the actual deadline for Jimmy is when he starts getting paychecks in week 1. So you can, just like the Patriots did last year with Cam, they can cut him after training camp. Trey wins the job. Nate Sudfeld's the backup. Jimmy Garoppolo then gets cut unless he's traded at some point during camp. And then you can roll over that $25 million in cap savings. So until that time comes, it doesn't hurt you salary cap wise. And I get the argument that it's weird and could be awkward with the two quarterbacks, but I also buy the idea that maybe it's even better in some ways for Trey Lance to have to compete and earn that job, which he should be able to do, by the way.
It is important for him. And I heard Steve Young say this either later in the year or maybe in the playoffs, but he talked about it, like make him uncomfortable. Like he thought that I don't even know the word, uncomfortableness or whatever, how uncomfortable it was for Steve Young and Joe Montana. It created this kind of healthy competition. And he felt like it brought out the best in both guys. So putting Trey Lance in that situation where it's almost like, hey, this is your job to lose, but you got to win it. Win it. And I think that's fine. And I don't have issues with that. I think the issues that I have with it is just how much of a stranglehold Jimmy has on the locker room. And if he does beat him out, but you still don't have any suitors for Jimmy Garoppolo, do you keep him around for $25 million or whatever? And then if Trey Lance does have a game like Jimmy had week 1, 2018 against the Vikings where he threw 3 picks and you lose, are people going to be calling for Jimmy Garoppolo instead of letting the rookie play through that? That's
Right,
where, to me, there's an issue because Kyle said, and John Lynch as well, we're not just going to cut him just to cut him. We think he's a good quarterback.
right. I mean, you look at it from the 49ers point of view, right? They might be bluffing. They might be saying like, yeah, we're going to keep Jimmy, no big deal. He gets healthy so that people will come around and try to trade for him, right? They might fully plan on cutting him. That being said, if you're not going to spend that money elsewhere, and it sounds like they say that this was their plan all along. This is what they had planned is, these are the guys we wanted. We got them. We probably weren't going to spend this money anyways. Trey Lance has started 2 games in the NFL. He got hurt in one of them, right? I mean, if he plays the way he's played in the past, his body's going to take a beating. Do you trust Nate Sudfeld to come in and be your backup quarterback when you have Super Bowl aspirations on this football team with a defense like that and these offensive weapons? Like, it would make sense to me to keep Jimmy around. The only problem, obviously, like you mentioned, is his control or the locker room, right? I mean, it all comes down to that. Are these guys going to follow Trey Lance if they believed, maybe they thought Jimmy beat him out, in practice because they were all there for it. But then all of a sudden they're like, no, let's give the keys to the kid. But then Jimmy's got guys that are trying to back him. And you definitely don't want something like that. But we can sit here all day and talk about that. You said it, Peacock. Steve Young says that it brought out the best in him and Joe Montana. I mean, those are 2 of the greatest quarterbacks that have ever played this football game, right? So if Steve Young says it, and I'm sure if you ask Joe Montana, he'd probably say the same thing. Like, let the guys go at it. Let them beat each other out. Let them push it to the limit. Let them really test it out in camp and just see what happens.
Don't you think it's a little bit funny? It seems like Steve Young is very much more pro Trey and getting him ready.
Yeah.
And Joe Montana is like, oh, the other guy's not ready. You got to keep Jimmy Garoppolo.
Weird.
That's a little bit ironic. I love that. Okay.
And when you hear Steve Young talk about it, he does kind of question like, well, Kyle doesn't think he's ready. Like that's what he's telling us. Jimmy, whatever the situation is, but how do you get ready? And what's the best way to approach it? Hey, have it be a competition. That brought the best in me, and that's what Trey needs as well.
And I will say this: the one thing that doesn't make sense is cutting Jimmy Garoppolo now. Once he started the new league year, his salary's there. You can only get more value for him on draft day or after he's cleared to throw and healthy again. If there's another quarterback that gets hurt, if one of the 49ers quarterbacks get hurt, God forbid, knock on wood, if Trey Lance gets hurt, it's better to keep him around to that point. In July, there's a decision to be made for cutting him. Before week 1, after training camp, there's a decision to be made for cutting him. Cutting Jimmy Garoppolo right now makes no sense. And I know a lot of people just want this to be over with and done. He's not going to get in the way of Trey Lance having any first team opportunities in OTAs and all that stuff. So, and they're friends. Like, I don't think there's, and I like what they said. Like, and I've said this before, Jimmy's a pro. Trey Lance is a pro. They brought those guys in the organization because their heads are screwed on right. I don't think it's going to cause any problems. There could be some funky business a little bit later on, but right now it doesn't help the 49ers to cut Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think that's the right move, bluffing or not, that they're going to actually keep him on the roster during the season. It's the right move for the organization to hold on to Jimmy for now until he's healthy enough to cut and then not have to worry about the injury guarantee. Maybe a team comes calling. So there's a lot of reasons to hold on to Jimmy for now. How long they hold on to him is the question.
If Steve Young's selling it, I'm buying it.
Yeah. And he might get traded on draft day. One more quote from, well, probably not, but he might.
You never know.
Like the Panthers want Malik Willis, someone drafts him in front of them, and now they're like, okay, now we literally don't have any quarterbacks that we like. And so maybe something happens there. And that'll be post 6 weeks op for Jimmy. That's usually when you do the checkups. Maybe they'll have more medical information. Just more paths to move Jimmy off the roster and get those draft picks, which clearly the 49ers want for Jimmy Garoppolo at some point. One more quote from Kyle Shanahan on the new quarterbacks coach, Brian Griese, and how that fits in with young Trey Lance next. How about rockauto.com? Been doing it for 20 years. A family-owned business helping do-it-yourselfers online with reliably low prices for every customers, do-it-yourselfers and professionals alike. And everyone hates going to the auto parts store and talking to the guy behind the desk and doesn't know what they're looking at on a computer screen. And maybe they have your part, maybe they don't, and they're marking it up 50, 100%. Just go to rockauto.com, know you're getting the best price, and know they have everything, and I mean everything, for your vehicle. Wink, what kind of car do you drive?
Chevy Silverado.
You know what they have? Every single part that exists for a Chevy Silverado. It's unbelievable. Every single year of the Chevy Silverado, from the very first one to the latest. They're probably already pumping out 2023 Chevy Silverados. You can find those parts at rockauto.com. Super easy. Go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck, right locked on in the How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Way to jump in there. You didn't know I was going to you, Wink.
You got me mid-drink right there. Yeah.
You're a gamer. You're always ready. That's what I love about Wink. That's what I love about Winky Wednesdays. All right, one more quote here from Kyle Shanahan, and this has to do with quarterback's coach, Brian Griese, and how he fits into the system and why he was the choice for Kyle Shanahan to be Trey Lance's, and specifically Trey Lance's, quarterback's coach.
That he wanted to do it. I keep not getting how these TV announcers want to come coach or GM. It seems like they got a pretty good gig. But he has a huge passion for football. And, I was able to work with Griese for 2 years in Tampa. I personally think he was the smartest football player I'd ever been around. The way that he prepared, how organized he was, he's as detailed of a guy as I've ever been around. And I thought it was you could bring something different to the quarterback position. I mean, I deal with the quarterback a ton. Bobby Sole deals with the quarterback a ton.
So it kind of got cut off right there, but I was I was laughing because I've seen the video of it, but when you hear just the audio, they weren't like hanging out with him at the urinal and he's taking a leak while he's answering this question. That's a fountain that's over to the side that you hear. But essentially, it's really important to have somebody in the building that knows the way the Shanahan's offense operates, right? He's worked with Kyle. He's a really smart guy, essentially, and it's all about developing Trey Lance, right, Croc? This offseason right now is all about Trey Lance.
I think and you said, knows how they the offense operates, but I think it's more so about knowing how the Shanahans operate and how they coach you and how difficult they can kind of be. And we know, like Kyle Shanahan, he can kind of be an asshole. And I think he's a very straight shooter and his standards are extremely high, which is good. And I think that's why when he's had his quarterback for, now he's been very far in the playoffs and went to a Super Bowl. So if you get it, but I think it kind of takes a certain level of understanding, like, damn, why is this dude like this? Well, you got Brian Griese to help kind of bring you along and be the good angel on your shoulder. So Kyle can be the hard, demanding, bad angel. This is what I want. Do it. Wasn't there the report that came out during one of the games where he said to Jimmy Garoppolo, this effing stuff is easy. Can you do it or not? Like, he just comes off a certain way, and you need Brian Griese to come over and be like, hey, man, look, this is actually what he means.
Yeah. See, that's exactly what I'm getting at right there. Like Shanahan, he's the smartest guy in the room, right? So not everybody is on the same level as him. So he's going to say something being like, why don't you get this? It's real easy. And Griese's going to be like, okay, listen, this is what he means. We're both quarterbacks. We're speaking the same language here. He's speaking the technical side of it. We're going to talk about how we can actually make this happen on the field.
What do you guys think about the new approved modified overtime rules for
I think double thumbs up
only, ensuring both teams get a possession? So the first team can't just come out, score a touchdown, game over. It's not sudden death in that category. In that instance, the other team has a chance to come back and score a touchdown. But then it does end if just for the playoffs only. That's according to Tom Pelissero. Yeah. We're seeing more information about that just for the playoffs. I like it.
Yeah,
let it. I mean,
who wouldn't pay money right now to watch more of that Bills-Chiefs game?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And it's like you go through all that and nobody's playing defense anymore. Right. The whole thing is don't let the coin flip, factor in. So at least, you get 3 series. And if it's touchdown, it's still going to be over eventually. But you have more of an opportunity to at least get one stop.
Yeah. Because that game, I didn't want that game to end.
Right. That was one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. That was beautiful football.
Unfortunately, with some of these rules, it's like you can't go back and fix the thing you wish you would have had fixed. Like they had the replay for pass interference because of the Saints and Vikings, Rams. And they couldn't go fix that. And then eventually they changed the rule because like, well, this is ridiculous, but unfortunately the thing happened and we can't go back and fix it. And now this rule is going to be, I don't know, who knows, this rule maybe is going to suck now, but it's like, you can't go back and fix the one that you wish you could have fixed and seen more of that one football game. But I understand why they did it. And look, there's no perfect answer. It's football. It's going to be weird once it goes into overtime. But I think allowing the other team to answer, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's going to improve the product.
We don't have much time here, but I want to go to Austin on Twitter, who said, I made a Twitter account just so I could ask you guys questions about the Niners. I really appreciate that. I love that, Austin. Love hearing that. Appreciate you listening. He says, love the podcast. What do you guys think about the Niners re-signing Jason Verrett if healthy and potentially moving Mosley into the slot position? And he tags BD Peacock, Eric _Crocker, and at Bay Area Wink. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being involved with the Winky Wednesday, Austin. Wink, let's go to you first. What do you think? Re-sign Jason Verrett and move Mosley into the slot full time.
I mean, as long as it's a smart deal, and it's a 1-year contract, another kind of show me thing, because when the guy's healthy, he's a fantastic quarterback. But, his history has shown that he's only been able to do it once. So, of course, if you can bring him back for a team-friendly deal, let's do it. Sure.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they should kind of take the same approach as they are going to potentially with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, make it a competition. And you could bring back Jason Verrett, but all right, Ambry Thomas, it's kind of your job to lose. Now, again, I wouldn't make Mosley a full-time nickel, but hey, Mosley start outside on base situations, slide inside on nickel, but who's that third corner that's going to come in? You got Ward on one side. Now on the other side, all right, Ambry Thomas, Jason Verrett, we're going to let y'all duke it out. Amber, you got to earn this. I would like to see that.
And the 49ers do need depth at corner, and so he'd be the perfect piece, and he should come back cheap if he still has the passion to do it. Would love to see Jason Verrett come back and be rooting for him, and maybe just because of the injury history, it's probably not best for him to be a full-time player at this point, but he could give you some big-time reps, right? And I like that. Iron sharpens iron. Let's have some more depth and have a little bit of a competition there at cornerback. But look, a healthy Jason Verrett might beat out Mosley too.
Dante Johnson's listening to this right now. Like, man, what about me?
You said my name once.
Well, so if Kyle Juszczyk's an OW, Dante Johnson now is a DW. He plays everywhere. Yeah. He's a slot guy. He's a safety now, special teams, cornerback. So, yeah, he's going to be around. Dante Johnson's going to be around for sure. And they got room for all those guys. They got room for 5 corners. So
I will say this. The 49ers fan base has come around a ton on him. People were like, oh, my God, I can't believe he's on the roster. This year he gets signed. And people are like, oh, yeah, I like Dante Johnson. I'm like, wow.
It's awesome. Yeah. The longer he goes, the more teams it's like a slow clap, right? It's like, yeah, dude, I love this guy. So Dante Johnson still around and re-signed with the 49ers. I think maybe the draft is where they go to fill that last spot. Haven't heard a lot about Jason Verrett, but he's got the passion for it. Yeah, bring him back and let him compete, see how he looks in training camp.
Before we get out of here, real quick, another thing from that Kyle Shanahan press conference. He talks about how every morning he looks out his window and Javon Kinlaw's out there every single day working hard. So, hey, just a little bright spot, little something maybe he's figuring it out.
I think it was Grant Cohn who put up there because he did say that. But also last year, he legitimately said the same exact thing about D Ford. And he was like, yeah, I look out my window and I see D Ford
worked too much. He hurt himself too much.
It's that damn window. Somebody block up that window.
Is the PT facility, the physical therapy room, right next to Kyle Shanahan's room? Is that what his window's looking into, or what?
Right. By working, you mean just getting a massage.
Oh my goodness. All right. Wink, Croc and I are going to do our mock draft later on this week. Is there one position that you think the 49ers need above all else?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it's offensive line, right? Like you got to get somebody on the interior, probably. You hope that Aaron Banks figures something out, but you can't rely on that. So I think that if they're looking at something, I think that's where you got to go. Or maybe you look at another tackle because you don't know what you got with McGlinchey, and Trent Williams is just another year older. So
I'm a little bit worried about offensive line. That's a good choice. Yeah. We'll see where Croc and I go when we put our GM caps on and we do a little mock draft later on in the week. We'll let everybody know when that is happening. I think we'll go live to do it, right, Croc? That'll be a fun way to do it. Maybe we'll end the week on Friday with a little live mock draft. I think that's the right way to attack this thing. Wink, thanks for joining us as always on another Wednesday.
My pleasure, gentlemen.
Missed you last week. Thanks everybody for listening and making us your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out Croc doing Locked On NFL drafts. Go check out his quarterback rankings, his mock draft from this week. And I'm doing. I did my. Did you hear my mock draft, Croc?
No.
You got to go listen to Peacock and Williamson. We dropped our mock drafts. Me and Williamson did a dueling mock drafts. We both had mock drafts Monday and Tuesday's show. It went 2 episodes long of us each doing our picks 1 through 32 in the first round. So a lot of mocks happening right now on the network. Thanks everybody for listening. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.